Oh, hello. Today on my autistic blog, I want to look at unmasking in autism and then explore this in relation to one or two of my books. Well, probably one book actually, but I didn't learn about masking. I didn't learn about masking in autism until I was thinking about exploring my own diagnosis, and now post-diagnosis I hear it everywhere. Women and girls particularly are said to mask because there's more expectation on girls to fit in socially. But I went to a webinar, a sort of online post-diagnostic group, and a speaker was talking, and she mentioned also the fact that a lot of men mask too. But so here are a couple of examples of masking in autism, which I copied from the Google homepage. Examples of masking can include, but are not limited to, mimicking the social behaviour of others, including gestures or facial expressions, deliberately forcing or faking eye contact during conversations, hiding or underplaying their own intense interests. They may also adopt rehearsed catchphrases such as "good grief," "interesting," or "that's amazing." I mean, they're not any of mine particularly, but I do recognise that. And another thing on Google homepage said, if you notice that you tend to look to others before deciding what to do in various situations, you might be masking by mimicking their behaviour. If you do not feel that these choices come naturally to you, and you instead try to copy what you see, you might be masking your social behaviour. Now, I remember acutely an incident when I was a child and finding it hard to make a choice on my own. This may have been, of course, inexperience and deference to an older sister who, to me, seemed assured and confident. She was several years older than me and knew how to make the right choices. So, but she called my bluff one time, asking me which of two items I preferred. And I've long forgotten what those items were, but she said, "Oh, I prefer that one. Which do you prefer?" And I said, "Oh, I prefer that one too." And then she said, "No, I don't. I prefer that one." I said, "Yeah, so do I." And then she said, "Actually, no, I think I prefer the first one." And I said, "Yes, so do I." Anyway, you can see what I was doing, but it was obviously transparent to her, several years my senior, what I was doing, but I hadn't known. Of course, it was a valuable lesson to me, but that was me, mirroring somebody, and I couldn't make a decision myself. As for facial expressions and other catchphrases, I'm guessing all people, autistic and allistic, have caught themselves doing this. After all, everyone is an imitator to some extent, and very few people are creators of new catchphrases. But I guess with autistic, it's the extent to which you do it, and also the consciousness and confidence with which we utter them. They can soon become our own. We may master them so well, we can't remember whose catchphrases we adopted in the first place. But and as for unmasking, as I was only diagnosed with autism in my 60s last year, I think I gradually began unmasking as a natural aging thing. I began doing it both consciously and unconsciously, probably from my 30s onwards. There are, of course, areas I no doubt still mask, because such characteristics and idiosyncrasies have become such an ingrained part of myself that I've claimed them. I do remember, though, consciously trying to be less of a people pleaser and speaking my mind a lot more in my 30s. And there was someone I was a good friend with since my teens, let's call her Penny, and she had very distinctive quirks and used her hands a lot as she spoke. She may have well been undiagnosed autistic, but she said, I was the only friend she'd not fallen out with or argued with, and I instinctively knew why. It's because I avoided anything contentious, and like people pleasers everywhere, I wished to be liked. And but by my 30s, I gradually voiced my own views. They were becoming stronger, and I voiced my own views to Penny. And like other friends of hers who'd gone before, she didn't like it. It disturbed the equilibrium of our friendship. So yeah, I think to me that was unmasking. And sometimes when you unmask, people don't like it because they get used to a way of being. Anyway, in my first novel here, this one again, I really don't like the cover now, it needs changing, but Did You Whisper Back? I drew on my own experience as a young woman to describe Amanda's feelings. Amanda's schizophrenic. I can't see here. The parallels between autism and schizophrenia is for another time. But here are some passages from the book when Amanda has just gone to work in a hotel and is battling with social expectations from the other workers her age. Their arguing and swearing embarrasses Amanda, not through any offence it has caused her, but because she is herself incapable of partaking in such a row. She has never quarrelled with anyone here, or they with her. Arguments are for family and friends. It is only acquaintances that are always agreeable and polite with one another. She takes such care to fit in with their every move. She thinks how every personality has 1,000 different sculptors working on it year in, year out, fashioning, moulding and shaping to make it what it is. She too can feel her own being carved and chiselled at every day by her friends, and the worst thing about it is that Margie has left her odious stamp. In Margie's presence, Amanda feels her voice drifting into that self-assured sing-song. Here and there she catches herself swaggering along the corridor, smiling that sweet and sour smile. She feels she is little more than a conglomeration of them all, though they don't seem to notice. They have no need to argue with her because it would be like arguing with themselves. She is just a mirror for their reflections. She doesn't know how to delete them from herself and decides it is simplest to keep up the pretense. Now, there's just one other thing I want to say here about unmasking, because it's been quite a long video already, but I never used to lose my rag in public. It seems strange that as a child I kept my lid on it, but then it just burst out in middle age. I'm laughing about it now, but when I'm in a meltdown, you don't want to see me. I've had so many meltdowns since my 40s, I've lost count, and they're usually very public too, and when my comfort is threatened, and usually they were to do with trains or waiting for a taxi that hadn't come, or conditions wrong on trains, making feel uncomfortable, cold, you know, getting anxious, agitated. Anyway, that's all for now. I've gone on long enough, but hope that was, yes, that just my insight into my own experience of masking and relating it to one of my novels. So that's all for now. Thank you. Bye-bye.